North Lawndale has a rich history, but also a long cycle of violence and poverty that's plagued the West Side neighborhood for decades. Chicago Tonight's Joanna Hernandez spent the day in North Lawndale as part of our In Your Neighborhood series. She joins us now to tell us about the work that people are doing to change the direction of the community. Joanna.
Brian, is the time that I've spent here talking to people, I can tell you that there's real work happening here, from the bigger projects to the smaller ones like Bike Box, a bicycle sharing program that is accessible to people who live here. This is just one of many initiatives creating positive change.
I know that personally, being a black man from Chicago, that in order to see change, you have to be the change. And the number one thing that I could think of myself is honestly just to be present.
Robert Welch runs the Wyman bike sharing program on Pulaski Road, a vision he had since he was a teenager.
One of my friends was shot for walking down the street, and there was no drug relations. He was a kid like me, and that was the moment where it's just like things like that happens every day, and there's no like nobody is trying to change that directly, or it has to start somewhere. So that was my first awakening to wanting to be a greater challenge to the community.
As a kid, Welch was part of the Young Men organization, a program aimed at giving kids a safe space to learn through a variety of programs. The Bike Box is free for residents to borrow bikes, fix bikes, and buy them at a low price.
The biggest part about how I feel the connection is going is those events right there. There's 4 or 5 people that have now started to come help out free of their own will. And it's just because it provides a community event where they can reach out to different people in the community, do projects, and feel like they're actually giving back in a way that's actually beneficial.
This year, Wyman was chosen to be part of the Chicago Architecture Biennial. Architects from around the globe worked with local community groups to come up with different ways to utilize empty spaces. Wyman used a shipping container to create an outdoor space for people to use.
The Wyman organization had a whole group of teenagers who were there who helped us paint all the surfaces, help us put the planter beds together. So I want people to feel what is the power of community, what's the power of seeing things in just a little bit different way.
In recent years, there has been a big push to help struggling communities in the South and West Sides by reinvesting in neighborhoods like North Lawndale. Cornelius Gritz, president of GMA Construction Group, once was a kid growing up on the South Side and now runs a company determined to revitalize Chicago neighborhoods.
I grew up in foster care my entire life, from the time I was 9 until I was 21 years old. Because I bounced around, I gained a sense of grit and a sense of determination that I knew I wanted better.
GMA Construction is gearing up to transform this vacant lot into 60 mixed-income apartments, townhouses, retail, restaurant space, and a community center with an outdoor plaza. It's one of multiple projects selected by the city for the Invest Southwest initiative.
I want people on my project who are representative of where I've come from, who look like me, who sound like me, who have been through some of the same struggles as me, so that they can have that opportunity to go out and be successful.
North Lawndale has a crime rate that has long overshadowed the rich history the neighborhood holds. BBF Family Services has been in the community for 62 years.
We can see the change going on right now, and it's only going to get better and better.
And it's going to take the community, it's going to take stakeholders, it's going to take elected officials, it's going to take government, it's going to take all hands on deck to make North Lawndale what it should be.
Angela Williams was a teenager when he started at BBF and now owns his own film production company.
With BBF being so thoroughly invested in its youth and its participants, like outside of high school, they also hooked us up with internships that really developed me greatly, and I'm like extremely grateful.
Williams' story is one of hundreds that leaders at BBF are proud of.
I believe young people can only be what they see. And if they can't see positivity, it's hard for them to live positive lives. And so I believe BBF is a beacon of hope.
At 27 years old, Williams hopes that other young men will take advantage of what organizations like BBF have to offer.
Just discover, be open to direction, and cultivate the hidden resources and blessings that's around you.
Yeah, and William also shares that because of this program, he has been able to travel to places he never thought he would go to. And stay tuned, we are speaking with one of the founders of Wyman and learning more about the bike sharing program and other programs that they offer. But first, I send it back to you.
Joanna, thank you.